Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. It's Kepper Y2K here, and in this video we're going to be listing the top 10 best hotspots in Fortnite history. Throughout the entirety of Fortnite, there has always been the POIs that would always draw a majority of the lobby. Those POIs that wherever the bus path was, you knew that these POIs were going to get at least 20 to 30 players landing there. So in this video, we're going to be listing of those locations that have existed in Fortnite, which of them was the best. Now, seeing as these locations have been considered hotspots in the history of Fortnite, it's fair to say they all have a decent amount of loot. We will be using criteria such as the amount of available material in those locations, as well as their location on the map and whether it was a location that allowed for easy rotations onto other parts of the map so that you could get even more eliminations and position yourself better. There will be POIs on this list that have changed throughout the history of Fortnite, so what we'll be doing is ranking the best version of that POI on the list. Number 10 on our list is Paradise Palms. During its time on the map, it was fairly popular. It was sort of the Tilted Towers southeast, obviously had a fair amount of chest spawns, but the reason it was hard to rank this on the list was simply because I don't think many players would be able to agree that Paradise Palms consistently got a lot of traffic. But I included it on the list for two reasons. One, because I do believe in my time landing at Paradise Palms, there would always be people landing there, a decent amount of people. And if you really want to stretch it, you could include the entire desert area on this list, not only Paradise Palms. And if you were to do that, that would include the Little Junction area that was in the desert, as well as Little Mexico. Comment down below what you guys used to call this place. If we take all of that into account, the reason Paradise Palms ranks number 10 on our list is simply because you could debate whether or not, depending on your experience, was it truly a hotspot. But if we do consider it, because it was on the southern portion of the map, not the most favorable area to rotate out of, there was rifts, quad crashers that you could use for easy rotates, so the mobility was decent, and as such, we will put Paradise Palms as number 10. Number 9 on our list is Salty Springs. Now, because we are including the best version of that POI, we're going to include Salty Springs from the Chapter 1 version of Fortnite, because if it was Chapter 2 version of Fortnite, Salty Springs is by far the worst POI hot drop of all time. People still land here in Chapter 2, and there is literally about 7 or 8 chests that spawn at Salty Springs. It is the worst spot that people still consistently land at in Fortnite history. Stop landing at Salty Springs. It's not a good spot. But the Chapter 1 version of Salty Springs was a little better than this version of Salty Springs in the current game. Now, Salty Springs never really was the kind of POI that merited the amount of players that landed there. It still, even in its best state, was a rather small POI that would get at least 15 players landing there each game. But it was fairly decent because you could farm fences and trees for material, and just the chest spawns, especially in the blue house when it had the bunker, they were pretty decent. It was also fairly central in the map in Chapter 1, right next to Fatal Fields and Dusty Depot / Divot, so you're able to rotate out with a decent amount of material and weapons and be able to go either south or north on the map, depending on where the circle took you. Number 8 on our list is the Authority, our first location that withheld a mythic item. Now, Authority ranks at number 8 because although it did have the vault and a mythic item in the drum gun and the grappler, that was kind of all it had. Because the Authority is a big building made of brick and metal, you really never are leaving the Authority with a ton of material. And also because the drum gun was a severely nerfed version of the drum gun compared to Midas's drum gun, that also pushed the Authority down the list. Really, if you weren't playing competitive Fortnite in order to get the grappler for an easy rotation, the Authority wasn't really one of the best locations of those that are considered hotspots. And speaking of mythic items and sticking with the Authority, number 7 we have the Agency. Basically, I could say the same thing about the Agency that I could the Authority. It's the vault, it's the mythic weapon, and that's about it. Now, obviously, the drum gun of Midas far superior than the drum gun of Jules, and that is what ranks it higher on the list. But just like the Authority, just not too many materials to be able to continue your match with, especially because the only real place you were getting material was from the vault, and if you're playing squads, not enough to go around. As a result, it places where it does on the list. Number 6 on our list is Caddy Corner. Possibly a controversial pick. You might have expected Caddy Corner to rank higher on the list. Caddy Corner obviously had the vault as well as Kit's shockwave launcher and Kit's charged shotgun, both borderline overpowered weapons that were in the game that would make the rest of your game a lot easier. Caddy also had all the fruit baskets, so you were able to get things like hot peppers, coconuts for shield. Now, the reason it only ranks at number 6 is because the rate of you getting out of Caddy Corner alive was probably lower than any spot we have on this list. The thing about Caddy Corner is that it was surrounded by the weather station and retail row. So what most players, specifically basically, whether it was squads or solos or duos, would do is land at retail row or the weather station and wait until everybody in Caddy Corner was done fighting and then rotate in. When you also account for the henchmen that were there, you cannot convince me are the most aggressive henchmen of any henchmen that have ever been on the map. If you ended up being the last person alive in Caddy Corner, the people at weather station and retail row would come to clean you up. Because of the vast amount of third partying that Caddy Corner brought, I'm only going to rank it 6th on this list. Because for you to be able to be a good hotspot, there has to be a good chance that you can actually make it out. Number 5, we have Pleasant Park. Pleasant Park has always been a consistently good hotspot to land. Decent material from the wooden fences and bushes and trees. Decent amount of weapons as well. Whether you're playing solos, duos, or squads, Pleasant Park is always that place that's always going to draw traffic, but it's always a decent place to land. And that's really all I have to say about Pleasant Park. Just good, old, consistent. And number 4 on our list, we have Stark Industries. Maybe a surprise, you guys might have expected this to be number 1 on the list. My reasoning behind Stark Industries ranking number 4 is the amount of loot that you can get at Stark Industries is significantly better than all the other spots on this list. It's almost a guarantee that you will go to Stark Industries and you are guaranteed to get a purple or gold pump shotgun, arguably the best weapon in the game. Combine that with the fact that Stark Industries probably holds the most overpowered mythic weapon in the game, the Stark Unibeam. All that ranks it this high on the list. But what keeps it from being any higher is the fact that, just like many of the other mythic locations, if you are playing in a solo mode, Stark Industries is perfect. Squads and duos, it is a lot harder to be able to make it out of Stark Industries with all your teammates having a good amount of material. Seeing as how it is majority metal and metal items that really don't give you too much material, obviously good rotation with the helicopter and the rifts at the bottom, including zipline, as well as the fact that it's central on the map. The only thing holding it back from being higher is just the lack of material that you are able to leave the location out of if you are playing with more than one teammate. Number 3 on our list is Doom's Domain. So yes, Doom's Domain actually does rank higher than Stark Industries because of all the reasons Stark Industries isn't ranked higher. Just like what I said about Pleasant Park, where Pleasant Park was good and consistent and you can get all the material, decent amount of material for you and a squad, Doom's Domain is just Pleasant Park, but the only difference is they replaced the garbage house that nobody wanted to land at with Doom's Domain. All the benefit of Pleasant Park, and you get a vault, the advertised mythic items of the Doom Bomb and the Doom Gauntlets, and the real mythic item, the LMG. You actually even get 2, and that is why Doom's Domain ranks number 3 on our list. And to number 2 on our list, we have Chapter 1 version, Risky Reels. Leave a like if you were playing when you had to do the Search Chest and Risky Reels challenge. Now, Risky Reels ranks as high as it does because the amount of loot that was present as Risky Reels was obviously amazing, but then you also had all the metal cars that you were able to break to get easily at least 400 or 500 metal, and it was always consistently packed with a lot of players. The area was spaced out enough to where it wasn't cluttered, and if you made it out alive, not only was there all the cars for you, or if you're playing squads or teammates, to get a decent amount of metal, but it also was placed right next to Wailing Woods, so you could not only get metal, but you could rotate over to Wailing and get max wood. Now, the only thing keeping Risky Reels at only number 2 is that it was in the northeastern portion of the map, so you did have to run quite a bit if you wanted to get more eliminations. And you guys have called me out on possibly being a little biased for nostalgia here, but number 1 on our list, it had to be Tilted Towers. You guys might have seen this coming, but I have to give love to OG Tilted Towers. Literally the most iconic spot in Fortnite history. Always packed with action, always had players landing there. You could always leave with a decent amount of material and always leave with a decent amount of weapons. It was very central on the map, so you could always rotate to get more eliminations. Never had to really run from the storm when you landed at Tilted Towers. I had to do it. You guys know this is the best hotspot in Fortnite history. So So that is our list. Let me know your guys' opinion on what you guys believe are the top best hotspots in Fortnite history, and which of these locations did you guys love landing at. As always, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to join the squad, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.